NFL Network presents America's Game, a countdown of the 20 greatest Super Bowl champions. And now, number 4. The San Francisco 49ers entered the 1989 season coming off one of the most dramatic wins in Super Bowl history.
39 seconds remaining. Back to throw Montana. Steps up, throws. Touchdown 49ers! And the 49ers have won the Super Bowl.
Following their last-second victory in Super Bowl 23, many players lingered on the field to savor the moment. But for one 49er, the close shave on the field would be quickly followed by one in the locker room.
I ran off the field, put the shaving cream on, and started shaving right after the game.
I said I wasn't going to shave it until the season was over. I guess the season's over now, so I can shave it.
I didn't even bring it up, wasn't even celebrating. I was in there shaving. That was one of my traits as a football player, was to wear that facial hair and the eye black. I was really trying to scare people, that tough guy mentality, attitude, and I wanted to be perceived that way, not only through my play, but my looks.
In the aftermath of victory, the look of the 49ers was about to change forever.
Was this the final game on the sideline for a great coach, Bill Walsh?
Bill has stepped down as head coach. George Seifert is our new head coach.
George Seifert was Bill Walsh's defensive coordinator the previous 6 years. But his selection to succeed Walsh as head coach was by no means a sure thing.
I was in the process of interviewing with a couple of other NFL teams. In fact, I was en route to Cleveland for an interview, and I had to stop in Dallas. For some reason, I called home, and my wife said to get back on a plane and fly back to San Francisco because they were going to hire me as the head coach. I feel fortunate. You know, I've inherited something that's to be cherished and taken care of. We've had a successful formula, and I've been a part of that. I basically grew up as a professional coach within the organization, whether people thought it was Bill's team. None of that made any difference to me. I realized that we had a winning system. The job was to keep it going and to live up to the standard that had been established when Bill was the head coach.
While Seifert focused on keeping the 49ers dominant on the field, his players reveled in the spoils of victory off it.
We are the Niners, don't get in our way. Team of the 80s, we came to play.
One of the players giving the champs a bad rap was star receiver Jerry Rice.
When you win Super Bowls, you always try to come up with something that's going to separate you from those who have won before you. So we came up with this rap video.
I move so fast, I'll give you a buzz. You be thinking that you're next to me. Thought you was, cuz.
We really didn't have any rappers. We didn't have any talent in the group.
We're unstoppable, remarkable, more famous than Cosby and the Huxtables.
Pretty much, you know, we just embarrass ourselves.
Have big fun.
I'm going to leave it at that.
But Rice and his teammates weren't the only ones delivering post-Super Bowl scripted one-liners.
And Jerry Rice, I've heard there's a new TV series coming out based on your Super Bowl performance. Miami Rice.
When you go to the White House, you know that you have made it to the big time.
Under the spotlight of Super Bowl 23 in Miami, Rice had delivered a big-time performance. He caught 11 passes for a Super Bowl record 215 yards and was named the game's MVP.
You know, I cherish this for the rest of my life, and maybe next year I'll get a chance to come back again.
Repeating as champion was the expectation facing Seifert in his first year as head coach. Fortunately, he inherited a veteran team returning 20 of 22 starters and chose to let them take center stage.
He liked to be behind the scenes, let the product speak for itself as opposed to the head coach.
There was an energy that was created by that. Everybody has a part in it.
Do whatever it takes to win. Whatever it takes.
Right from the get-go, they wanted to demonstrate to the world that they were as instrumental as anybody else in winning previous championships. And when you get players on your team feeling that way, you're going to have a good club. To this day, contrary to what many think, I felt like I was the right guy for the job because I was aware of the system, having coached there for 9 years, but also aware of the history of the 49ers, having lived it, being a fan of the team.
George Seifert grew up in San Francisco's Mission District. He played prep football at Polytechnic High, just across the street from Kezar Stadium. On Sundays, members of the football team were ushers at 49er games.
Each of the home football games, we were assigned certain sections, and I think we watched more than we really worked.
10 seconds left. Lions lead it.
I remember watching the first alley-oop pass to R.C. Owens.
This has got to be the alley-oop. There's no time for anything else. He's got it! A great catch!
I remember when I first went to work for the 49ers, I said, my gosh, I'm working next to R.C. Owens. I mean, that was a pretty big deal. It was nice to get a paycheck too, but I don't want to tell anybody, but I would just, to be there, I would have done it for nothing.
In 1989, Seifert wasn't just working with 49er greats. He had the unenviable task of replacing one.
Bill Walsh, he was the legend. And George had to win the team over. And he's totally different from Bill Walsh.
He was a little bit more dry sense of humor. Nowhere near, the prankster that Bill Walsh was.
You've got to have everybody 100% fresh for this ballgame. Somehow you've got to be fresh. In some cases it may mean a lot of sex, in others none. I don't know.
Bill Walsh was known for his humor. But with Seifert, it was his quirky body language and many superstitions, such as always following the same path out to the practice field and never stepping on the team's logo.
Sort of like a little entertainment for us when he was coming out on the field. It was hilarious because we would watch him. He would never walk on that logo.
They probably noticed that one more than any other. I'd always walk around it. It was a sign of respect. I wasn't going to walk on our logo. It was like I wouldn't walk on the American flag. I feel like I'm in, The Sopranos right now. I'm talking to my, my psychiatrist here. George, why do you, is it because your mother wasn't good to you or something, When you're in that situation and there's a certain amount of stress, you have these little things out there that you turn to. One of my superstitions was to blow on a breath mint 3 times.
Blow through the middle of them. For what reason, I don't know.
If I didn't do that, we wouldn't win the ball game. I kept waiting for Search to give me a commercial or something, it didn't work.
Is it the moon? No, stars above.
Later in his career, Seifert would play off his low-key image in a popular Visa commercial.
Blame it on the bossa nova, a dance of love.
But heading into the '89 season opener, he was an unknown after spending most of his career in the coach's booth.
I'm a little anxious about it, in that I have spent so many years upstairs and you can hide out a little bit up there, whereas now, be in the public eye more, and it'll take some getting used to.
In week 1 at Indianapolis, Seifert donned the coach's headset for the first time.
It was like a pilot getting into a fighter plane before you went to battle. When you're on the sideline, you have quite a bit more going on around you. I mean, the tension is indescribable.
George Seifert on the sideline. That's a new position for him. He has spent the last 15 years in the booth. Now all of a sudden he's down on the field. So he's not quite sure how to act down there on the field either.
But the 49er players had been here many times before.
40, he's to the 30, Taylor gives him a block, he's down to the 10, he's into the end zone, touchdown 49ers!
Joe Montana's 58-yard completion to Jerry Rice helped give Seifert his first win. The only thing Montana failed to give his new coach in '89 was a nickname.
George, we didn't have a name for him.
The rest of the team was not so fortunate.
Joe Montana's a guy that names everybody. Throughout my career, everybody noted me as Woody.
One Woody caught.
Joe thought I looked like the character on Cheers, the bartender, Woody Harrelson, and that kind of stuck.
Worse than Woody was the name Montana tried to pin on Jerry Rice.
They called him Fifi one year. If you go back to '87, you look at his haircut, he looked like a poodle. I swear to God, Fifi.
I had this hairstyle that was very unique, and they started calling me Fifi. I was a little pissed off about it at first, but then I was like, okay, just let these guys, have their fun. Because whenever you get defensive, they feel like they got you. You have to just play along with it, and hopefully it dies out, and it did.
One nickname that survives to this day is the one the players gave to Montana.
Bird legs.
Bird legs. He had no legs, no calves or anything, so we always gave him a hard time.
Well, he's got funny legs for a quarterback, doesn't he?
The last time I saw legs like that, they were hanging out of a nest. 34 years to get this development.
But I'll tell you what, those bird legs got him out of a lot of trouble.
Just 45 seconds to play in the game. Niners still trail by 3. On his hip, Montana to the end zone. Touchdown 49ers. He brings it in himself.
In week 2 at Tampa Bay, Montana's bird legs skittered home with a game-winning touchdown. But the following week at Philadelphia, they could not escape the Eagles' talons. For the first 3 quarters, Philly's defense battered Montana and took a 21-10 lead into the final 15 minutes.
He got sacked 8 times, and he kept battling back.
When you get a sack 8 times, you can easily point the finger.
Eagles have been getting the Montana.
When you're knocking him around, Joe is never going to point any fingers. He just hung in there. He's like the comeback kid. He's Joe Cool.
It's up the right sideline, and breaking loose and gonna go all the way. Taylor will go.
John Taylor's 70-yard catch and run triggered a fourth-quarter scoring frenzy.
He's got Rathman. He's into the end zone. Touchdown. Montana to throw. Goes downfield. He's got Jones. Touchdown 49ers.
The 49ers take the lead.
Montana would cap the comeback by hitting Jerry Rice for his 4th touchdown pass of the quarter.
The end zone. Rice has got it. Touchdown 49ers.
Joe had done that so many times. He had the uncanny ability to be so cool under pressure, as everybody's talked about for years. He was a surgeon in pressure situations.
Jim, you're all right. Jeff?
Be able to come back in Philly, those were the defining moments, in my opinion, of that '89 season.
After 3 straight wins on the road, the 49ers appeared headed toward another victory in their home opener. Nursing a late 2-point lead, they called on Tom Rathman to run out the clock.
We were up 12-10, and I think there was, 3 minutes left in the game. We're driving down. We're getting near their red zone. Well, we run a little counter.
Montana gives to Rathman into the middle.
Got hit, fumbled the football.
It marked the first time Rathman had lost a fumble in over 3 years with the team.
Rathman lost it.
They recovered it on the 20-yard line, drove down, kicked a field goal.
5 seconds showing on the clock.
Ended up beating us 13-12.
Kick is up, and it is good.
I'll never forget it. Call that Black Sunday in my house.
Rathman's disdain for fumbling dated back to his first training camp in 1986, when Bill Walsh ripped him in front of the other rookies.
I remember back in Rockland fumbling the football a little bit coming in as a rookie, and Walsh coming up to me and saying, "Hey, this isn't college, you're not on scholarship, we don't have to keep you." And everybody's rear ends just went.
You're going to condition yourself to playing football without fumbling it. You're not going to take a chance on losing that damn ball. Second, you find yourself relaxing and you'll be out of the league.
Rathman soon developed the surest hands on the team as both a runner and receiver. It became Walsh's most versatile weapon.
Tacklers again.
His power running style put some toughness in Walsh's West Coast offense, as did his ferocious blocking.
You don't want to be known as a finesse football team. I'm blue collar myself. The way I like to hit guys was square them up, take them right down here. That's the first thing that makes contact right there, your forehead. That's what it's all about, taking them right down the middle and getting that pinched nerve where, that's what it's all about right there.
In Week 5, following the loss to the Rams, Rathman took out his frustrations on the Saints. Joe Montana threw 3 second-half touchdown passes to rally the 49ers from a 17-3 deficit and shock the Saints. But a bigger shock awaited them at home.
We have reports of major power outages in San Francisco and reports throughout the Bay Area. The reason, if you do not know by now, was a major earthquake. We do not have a Richter scale reading on that yet.
I think it was October 17th. I actually was walking through Candlestick's parking lot, going to Game 3 of the World Series. Well, all of a sudden, I'm talking the ground moves 6 inches one way, 6 inches the other way.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are postponing the game because there is no power in the stadium.
I mean, it was chaos.
The game will be postponed.
I was on my way to dinner. I was taking my family out. We were in the car, and the car just started shaking, and I'm thinking, okay, I have a flat tire. So I pulled over to the side, and that's when I noticed something had just happened.
Where my office was upstairs, there was a bathroom and shower. And I had just gotten out of the shower, facing the mirror with a towel around me, and all of a sudden the whole building started going. Being a native San Franciscan, I realized what we were going through, so I made a beeline for the door that went out to the deck outside of my office, and I was just about ready to jump over the side. The towel in my body, that was it. And then I felt it kind of subside a little bit.
Prepare yourselves! Store water in your bathtub!
What we went through was minuscule compared to what certain areas did.
5 days after the earthquake, the 49ers played their next game at Stanford Stadium because of structural damage to Candlestick Park. Steve Young relieved an injured Joe Montana and led the 49ers to an emotional victory.
Rice has got it! It's gonna go all the way!
We wanted to go back out there and try to take some of that pain away. If we could just bring a smile just for a couple hours, we felt like we did our job.
Tom Rathman enjoyed the best pass-catching day of his career.
Me in particular, I loved the place. I caught 11 balls for like 103 yards and, got the game ball, and we ended up winning the game. I was the game captain that week, so it was a special day for myself.
It was also a special day for Young, who threw 3 touchdown passes and stirred a quarterback controversy after the game.
Obviously, Joe's been spectacular, and I realize that. I feel like if I could play every week for a while, that, I could start doing the same kind of a thing.
Steve was, frothing at the mouth to become the player for the 49ers. I do recall, it seemed like after each practice, Mike Holmgren walking off the practice field and Steve walking behind him, talking to him in his animated fashion, how many, why don't I want more reps, how many more years do I have to do this? And at the same time, Joe was the man.
For a coach, it's a nice situation to be in, really.
How do you keep them happy?
Well, I don't think I keep them happy. Neither one gets the number of repetitions they want.
In Week 8, Young would again start for the ailing Montana, only to be injured himself.
It didn't matter if Joe Montana was in the game. It didn't matter if Steve Young was the guy. It didn't matter if Steve Bono was the guy. Whoever was a quarterback was expected to get the job done.
Play fake to Rodgers.
Third-string quarterback Steve Bono came off the bench to throw a key touchdown pass.
We had tremendous talent. I mean, I'm talking about across the board. I don't know if there was one weak spot on our team. That's the type of depth that we had.
Boy, the depth on this football team is just indescribable.
This is for you.
From his earliest days with the team, George Seifert enjoyed a special bond with his defensive players, especially at Christmas when they presented him with an annual gag gift. Safety Ronnie Lott was particularly sorry to have to share his mentor with the offense in 1989.
Seifert becomes the head coach, you lose your defensive coordinator. Does this mean he forgets about you?
Of course he has. Already he won't let us hit the receivers. Now he's telling us what Bill used to tell us: stay away from him, don't touch him. It's a little demeaning to see a guy like that change so fast, you know. I'm a little upset that he's really taking that attitude.
We're the players on the team. We're the ones responsible. You can't just always say the coach has got to make me do this or make me do that. This was an attitude that Ronnie Lott demonstrated probably more than anybody.
We all got to stick together in this.
There was something special about him that his spirit kind of permeated through the rest of the club.
Oh, my goodness.
With Lott leading the charge,
Oh, my, Ronnie Lott.
Seifert's defense was dominant.
Pressure by Haley, and the ball slips out of his hands.
2 late personnel moves helped. In week 2, the 49ers signed Matt Millen, who was cut by the Raiders in training camp. Though he once bled silver and black, Millen would pump new life into the 49ers defense.
Heck, I would never have thought I'd have played for this team. But then I never thought of playing with any other team other than the Raiders, so surprise, surprise.
And we've seen this time and again where a player might be at the end of his line with a certain club, he goes to the next club and he has a great year. Well, that's what happened with Matt. Matt played really well for us.
Matt Millen brought a little of that old Raider mentality to the 49ers, added his own type of sizzle.
It was a change from the environment he was used to as a player. I think he really enjoyed our environment. He thrived on it.
Millen says he feels like he's gone into the land of Oz since he came to the 49ers.
Millen wasn't the only waiver wire pickup to find new life by the Bay. In week 11, the 49ers signed nose tackle Jim Burt, a career New York Giant who almost ended Joe Montana's career 3 seasons earlier.
He was the guy that had knocked Joe for a loop a couple of years before that.
And Montana's hurt.
He was kind of one of the bad guys, and now he was on our team. We'd always have a movie and a little talk the night before a ball game.
Mr. Jim Burt, nose tackle.
And somehow they had spliced in a film of Jim Burt doing a commercial where he wore a tutu.
They say you'll never get rich playing another man's game.
And he was kind of introduced to the club that way. It kind of loosened everything up.
I'm just kind of like in a twilight zone, being here and being on their team.
He had a lot of fun with it, and he and Joe would hit it off.
Does that do it, guys? You gotta do it when I'm not looking, Joe. You telegraphed it, babe. But
Millen and Burt made their presence felt in a Monday night game against Burt's former team, the New York Giants. Early in the game, Burt exacted a measure of revenge on his former team.
Stripped by Burt. It's a live ball. San Francisco has it.
Millen played his best game of the season.
Matt Millen comes charging through, makes the tackle.
He's a pleasant addition to this 49ers squad.
The New York Giants, that was a team that everybody disliked. You know, they played slobber-knock football. I think West Coast was thought of more finesse, soft. We felt like we were tougher than that. And the only way to prove that was knocking guys in the mouth ourselves.
Mims gets taken down by the ankle.
It was an emotional ball game. When there's 2 teams that have been champions here in the last few years, it was a hell of an emotional battle.
If the defense was Seifert's baby, the offense was Mike Holmgren's foster child.
George was a defensive coach. So he let the coordinator, Mike Holmgren, that first year do his thing.
The ball's here. Now from here, right up.
Certainly that 89 season, Mike Holmgren did an outstanding job, too. I mean, we were #1 in the league as far as scoring points. We were the #1 offense.
Joe Montana was groomed by Bill Walsh, but it was with Holmgren calling the plays in '89 that he had his finest season ever, setting an NFL single-season record with a quarterback rating of 112.4.
He's got a great accuracy and great touch.
And boy, did he rip a beauty, a perfect pass to Jerry Rice.
His experience and his knowledge of our offense and where people are on defense, you just couple all that together, and then that little extra special something that no one seems to be able to define, and you got perhaps the greatest quarterback that's ever played.
In 1989, Jerry Rice was on his way to becoming the greatest receiver of all time. He led the NFL in receiving yards and touchdowns. He teamed with John Taylor to form the NFL's best receiving combo. Together, Rice and Taylor accounted for 27 touchdowns and over 2,500 yards, much of it coming after the catch.
Because of Jerry, John might not have received some of the same publicity, certainly, but was just a phenomenal athlete. Maybe one of the strongest players I'd ever been around, pound for pound.
In 1989, Rice and Taylor were particularly lethal on a pattern called quick slant.
I think the secret to the quick slant is that the quarterback, the way he delivers the ball has to be there.
Montana drills a pass, slant into Rice.
Also, you have to catch it at top speed.
He's to the 5, touchdown 49ers!
John and I, we were, really good at working the defensive back on the outside, and once you broke inside, Joe would put the ball there. And
slanted to Taylor, he beats the first wall.
Then it's up to you just to become a football player. It's just like almost sandlot football.
He's to the 5, ball is in the end zone, touchdown 49ers!
I would prefer to catch a 5-yard slant and go 95 yards any day. Because it's exciting, because it's almost like the hair is like standing up on your back, because everybody is chasing you and they're trying to catch you.
He's got Rice, he breaks loose to the 30. He's going to be gone. I don't think they can catch him.
If you're able to cross that goal line without getting caught, it's a great feeling.
A play that seems to work every time they do it.
John Taylor would take the quick slant to a new level in a Week 14 Monday night showdown at the Rams. The 49ers found themselves trailing 17-3.
I remember their owner, Georgia, at the end of the first half, her walking along the sidelines down on the field with a glass of wine, kind of holding it up to the crowd, toasting the crowd. I mean, this was their game to win.
Montana to throw. He's got a man all alone. It's Taylor. He's in a foot race. He's down the sidelines to midfield, makes a cut, goes to the 40. He's got a blocker in front of him to the 30. He's to the 20. Cuts it again. Still has a defender. Goes into the end zone. 92-yard touchdown pass.
It was exciting to see. He was able to do that twice on a Monday night, and I think it just showed that he could have went anywhere else and he would have been the focus.
Joe, a slant into Taylor. Taylor breaks a tackle, cuts across the middle, breaks another to the 30.
If you look at them, there were guys rallying down the football field, and that's what we prided ourselves on. If we didn't have the football, we were getting ourselves in a position to make a block to allow the guy to go the distance.
John Taylor, another spectacular touchdown of 95 yards.
Both those plays were just 5-yard slant passes.
So the Niners go unbeaten on the road this season. They have clinched the NFC West.
When the game was over, I had my headset on, and I was in such a daze as to what had gone on. I started just running off the field. I still had my headset on.
Seifert was so excited he was trying to walk off the field with that headset. I mean, that would have to be a long cord.
They were laughing and grabbing me and trying to get the headset because I was just oblivious. They could have stuck knives in me. I probably wouldn't have felt it.
So the road to the Super Bowl will have to go through San Francisco.
The 49ers finished the regular season 14-2. And we're about to embark on the most dominant playoff run in NFL history.
The 49ers in the league's top offense against the Vikings in the #1 defense. The survivor reaches the NFL's Final Four.
Only the strong survive, baby. That's what we're here for. Kick their ass. That's what we live for, baby.
Who can outdo who?
The number one ranked Viking defense registered 71 sacks in 1989. One shy of the NFL record. Against the 49ers, they came up empty.
Goes across the middle. It is complete to Rice. Rice to the 45. He's to the 50. He breaks through.
Jerry Rice took Joe Montana's third pass 72 yards for a score. Montana was on target early, firing 4 touchdown passes in the first half.
Has to roll out to the right. Looking to throw. Can't find anybody. Goes for the end zone. Jones! Touchdown! Rolling to the right. Throws to the end zone. It's caught for a touchdown. 49ers, John Taylor.
You put up 41 points on the number one defense in the league, and that's an eye-opener right there.
We were pretty good then.
We have the Los Angeles Rams and the 49ers going at it. They vie today for the right to go to the Super Bowl in New Orleans.
3 and out, baby. 3 and out.
In the NFC Championship against the Rams, Seifert's defense led the way.
Megan were all over Everett. The 49er entire defensive wall was in his face. And Everett is hit just as he throws the ball.
Knocked him down as he released.
Here's Everett dropping back, this time really under pressure.
Had to throw that one kind of backpedaling and off his heels.
They own this ball game right now because the Rams are just almost conceding physically. Everett stepped back. Now he goes down without even being touched. Boy, is he hearing footsteps. Haley and Roberts were there, but they never touched him. He just ate the ground.
Yeah, hit the deck.
The offensive game plan called for the NFL's best receiver to become a blocker.
Rice gets a key block.
Just physically dominating the Rams. Every block they throw, they're knocking people down. They're tackling harder, they're blocking harder.
There's something about this team that in playoff games does raise it up.
The so-called finesse 49ers were dominating the NFC Championship with power football.
Rathman out to the 30, and he runs over Jerry Gray.
The play of Joe Montana bordered on the divine. All-seeing, all-knowing.
Montana just knows where everybody's got to get it to the end zone. He does! It's a touchdown to John Taylor! Oh my, what a pass completion!
He hasn't thrown a ball harder than that all year. Montana's day, 26 of 30, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns.
And the celebrating begins. The San Francisco 49ers are going to their second consecutive Super Bowl.
You can start heating up the gumbo. With the third coach in history to go to the Super Bowl, his first year as a head coach. Don McCafferty with Baltimore, Red Miller with Denver were the other 2.
In the quest for a 4th championship, the superstitious Seifert had become his owner's 4-leaf clover.
I know you're highly superstitious. Did you have any kind of good luck charms hanging around here today?
George. he was the best luck charm I could have.
Before the start of Super Bowl 24, Tom Rathman delivered an impromptu speech.
We're kind of standing there and nobody was saying anything, so I'm like, okay, well, we know we're the best.
We know we're the best team. Let's just go out and prove it today. We got to play hard, play within your limits. Let's go out and kick some out of here.
But Rathman's confident words belied an inner doubt.
Going into that game, I felt that we weren't going to win for some reason. Just didn't have a good vibe.
That surprises me. I felt pretty sure we were going to win the game.
George Seifert's uncharacteristic optimism had less to do with his red-hot quarterback and more to do with the fact that a lucky sweater he forgot to pack arrived in the mail the day before.
The sweater was given to me by the lady that I worked with as a Christmas present the year before, but I would wear it all the time, and I needed that security, I guess. It's like a little kid with his blanket. I needed my sweater. So They did have to go get that sweater.
He led all NFC running backs in receptions this year with 73.
Seifert may have had his lucky sweater, but during the pregame introductions, his luck would run out. After Rathman was introduced, the team headed for the sidelines, leaving Seifert to enter alone.
You believe this? The team forgot about Seifert. Old Lonesome George.
With the most wins of any head coach in his first season, George.
Although his entrance on football's grand stage had fizzled, Seifert's team was about to explode.
Black 59 Razor! Black 59 Razor! 49-7!
On the 49ers' opening possession, Jerry Rice landed a telling blow by surviving one.
The thing that we had noticed about the safeties, they didn't wrap up. They tried to deliver the blow. Atwater tried to unload on me, and I was able to bounce off that and score a touchdown.
A closer look at the play shows Montana's mastery of the West Coast offense. Tom Rathman was Montana's primary receiver on the play. Montana's second look was at tight end Brent Jones. His third to Jerry Rice, who was covered over the middle. He then checked his fourth read, John Taylor, on the opposite side, before coming back to the now open Rice.
Just complete control of the offense, precision, knowing where the third and fourth receivers are. It's a clinic.
They were a pretty good defense. I had the fewest points scored against them throughout the regular season. Fewest points scored against them, and we put up 55 points.
Launches it for the end zone. Jerry Rice.
Everything was just as sharp and as precise as I could ever imagine.
A perfect pass to Jerry Rice.
There were times when I would look and I'd be in awe myself of some of the things that they were doing. Think about Joe and the precision with which he did everything. You don't see that. I don't know if I've seen it since.
On a rare play when Montana was off target, Rathman made a sensational catch, setting up the first of his 2 short yardage touchdowns, an achievement that left him unfazed.
A lot of people say, oh, what was it like scoring a touchdown in the Super Bowl? Nah, I don't know. I mean, just another play. It wasn't that important to me to score a touchdown. I mean, I could have been throwing a block on a play. I mean, the bottom line is win and win as a team.
Throws for the end zone. Taylor! Touchdown 49!
With a Super Bowl record 5 touchdown passes, the choice of an MVP was as simple as a 1980s dot matrix printout.
Joe Montana could very well be his 3rd Super Bowl MVP award. The 49ers have brought the quality of football in the NFL to really a new level.
What I remember from the Super Bowl, you got grown men, and it's just like we are little kids again.
The boy is going to party tonight.
You have macho guys, and all of a sudden, we able to just show our emotions like that. You know, you see the tears, and you see everybody just hugging each other, and you see the coaches, and you see the owner just running around like a little kid.
Damn you. Congratulations for everything.
That's something I'll never forget.
Thank you. Very much. Thank you. I'll tell you what, I'm happy.
For George Seifert, the final minutes of Super Bowl 24 would also leave some indelible images.
It's vivid in my mind. You know, towards the end of the game, Don Griffin and Tim McKay are standing back to back, yelling, you know, back to back.
Back to back. Number one.
And then I'll never forget looking at Roger Craig and Roger saying, yeah, three-peat. We ought to three-peat.
Three-peat. Three-peat. Go for the three-peat.
And I'm thinking as a coach, you got to be kidding me. We had just gone through this season and we won this Super Bowl, and now he's already talking about next year in three-peat.
We're not even satisfied. We want to get 3. That's right.
I got enough pressure to deal with. And that's all that's going through my mind is, my God, they're already talking about next season.
Why don't we make it 3 times? Hey, that's what I said.
Next year, the Super Bowl in Tampa. 49ers already favored to win that one.
Before facing the next season, Seifert still hoped to achieve one more goal at the end of Super Bowl 24.
The game is over, and now the players pick the coach up to be carried off the field. You can think of all the coaches, you know, being picked up and carried off. Here's Bill Walsh with his finger up in the air, number 1, you know. I'm standing there and I'm thinking, you know, here comes my moment of glory through this whole deal. You know, finally, after this tough season, I'm going to get carried off the field and I'll have these pictures that my kids can see forever. And I even put myself in position, ready to be carried.
Young kneels down again, that's it.
I'm kind of standing around, you know, waiting, you know, who's going to pick me up, you know, and everybody just kind of ran off the field, you know.
And it's over. San Francisco 55 and the Denver Broncos 10.
A lonesome George, you know, to this day.
John, you and I have been around this game of pro football a long time. I was just thinking, this might be the best football team I've ever seen.
This 49er team has everything, and I don't know that it isn't the best team that's ever been.
These 49ers, in one of the greatest football games ever played by one team, become the first team to win back-to-back Super Bowls since the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Thank you to a man that came in a situation that wasn't exactly easy, and he is your coach.
I want you to know that they said three-peat. They've got the heat on you already.
Well, if they want to go for another one, that's fine with me.
The following season, one step away from their third straight Super Bowl, the 49ers had the ball and a 1-point lead with just over 2 minutes to play.
The ball just pops out the side. He just caught it in the air.
What a bizarre, you know, thing to have happened. It was pivotal because I believe we would have three-peat. We've been the first team to three-peat.
And the kick is good. There will be no three-peat.
I don't know if I was ever forgiven for that. Really, I felt like I was always battling uphill after that game. I think the thing I was most concerned about was I knew that some of the great players that were part of the club, eventually during my reign, if I last for a few years, they were going to get towards the end of their careers. And I was going to be the guy that had to be involved with their leaving the team. That was the thing that I feared more than anything else.
No matter what jersey they finished their career in, for the pillars of the 49ers dynasty, 1989 will always stand as their last moment of glory together.
They can't take it away. I mean, once you're a champion, you're always going to be a champion. Some stage of your life, you are on top. Nobody can take that away. Nobody can take this ring away. I mean, that's what it's all about. You play for that right there. You don't play for the money. You play for the ring. Doesn't get any better than that.
The 89 season, it was just like it was yesterday. It was really special. We had teams beat before they stepped on the field. It's something you'll never forget.
Jerry Rice continues to set records.
Jerry, the class act. From legendary athlete to gentleman dancer, he's won the heart of the audience, if not the judges. But when will he get the respect he craves?
He should have done the Bossa Nova. He might have won. Yeah.
Super Bowl 29 has come to a completion.
In the spring of 2006, the 49ers gathered in Las Vegas for a reunion of their Super Bowl teams.
We're going to take care of some unfinished business that goes back 16 years.
At our party in Las Vegas, I was surrounded by a lot of the players, and they said, just relax, George, and go with the flow.
16 years later.
The next thing I knew, I was hoisted up, and they were carrying me throughout the ballroom where we were having our party, and we were on tuxedos and all. And I felt kind of foolish in a way. I was, doing the victory sign and going through the whole. But I figured, what the heck? Many of those people, I'll never see them again. And to be there and have all of those great teams and great players together, to be part of that, in many ways, it's more special to me.